Have you ever wondered what really happened in the world of the game Reanimal? Why did the children end up in this strange and frightening place? And what role does the girl in the rabbit mask play in all of this? By the end of this video, I'll show you a detail that most players simply overlook. And if my theory turns out to be correct, it becomes clear who is really behind all the events of this story and why that very ritual was only the beginning. After your first playthrough of Reanimal, you're left with the feeling that you've only scratched the surface of the story. The game hardly explains anything directly. The developers deliberately leave us only hints, strange symbols, fragmented scenes, and frightening details that are easy to miss. But if you piece them together, you can try to reconstruct the real picture of what happened. My theory starts with the idea that the events of the game don't take place in ordinary reality at all. The world we travel through is more like some kind of distorted afterlife. But it's neither heaven nor hell in the usual religious sense. Rather, it's an ancient pagan world that exists somewhere beyond human understanding. A unique power operates in this place. In the game, there is a creature that looks like an innocent lamb, but behind the image of a harmless animal, something much older and more sinister may be hiding. And here arises the main question: how did the children end up in this world at all? The answer may be hidden at the very beginning of the story, in the scene where 4 children perform a strange ritual. There is a book lying next to them. Perhaps it was from this book that they learned about the existence of this rite. But there is another version. What if the book was not the source of knowledge, but merely a tool, and the real instructions were given to the children by the entity itself? In many myths, demons cannot directly affect reality, but they are able to whisper, influence thoughts, and push people toward actions. Perhaps this is exactly how it all began. But why did the children need this ritual at all? The game hints at war, a ruined world, hunger, fear, and death. Perhaps the children lived in a reality where terrible events were happening all around them. In such a situation, it's easy to believe in any hope, even if that hope comes from a strange book with strange symbols. Perhaps they thought they were performing a ritual that would change their fate. But the ritual required a sacrifice, and that sacrifice became the girl in the rabbit mask. Judging by the memories and symbols in the game, the children lured her to the farm. There we also see a dead rabbit, a detail that seems random, but in fact may be an important symbol. The rabbit is often associated with sacrifices and ancient cults. It is there that the girl is killed. After that, following the instructions from the book, or perhaps the voice of that very entity, they throw her body into the well. But at that moment something happens that they did not expect. Instead of having their wish granted, they open a door to that very world. Apparently the children were deceived. The entity they tried to serve never intended to help them. It simply used them, and soon each of them begins to die. In the game, we find their coffins, and each coffin tells its own story. One of the children died in an explosion, another hanged himself, the third was shot to death, and the last was beaten to death. But the strangest thing is that after their deaths, their souls end up in that very world where most of the game takes place. This world seems to be made from their fear, guilt, and memories. At one point, a rabbit jumps out of a coffin. This might not just be a frightening element. Perhaps it is a symbol of the victim herself, a reminder of how it all began. When the game itself begins, the boy finds his sister next to a buoy. The girl is in a state of severe shock. She attacks him and tries to strangle him. Perhaps her mind still remembers the moment of death, but there is an even more frightening theory. What if, at that moment, a part of that very entity is already inside her? If you pay attention to the behavior of the other children, it becomes noticeable that they are afraid of her. They try to stay close, but at the same time they are wary of her bouts of pain, as if they understand that something much more terrifying is hidden inside the girl. There is a theory that the demon lamb cannot appear in the human world on its own. He needs the souls of children to restore his strength. That is why the ritual required 1 innocent child and 4 executioners. When their souls enter this world, the process of the entity's rebirth begins. Throughout the game, you can notice that the demon gradually consumes the children. With each new consumption, he becomes stronger, his form changes, and all of this leads to one moment: the girl. She was the first victim, and at the same time the final part of the ritual. When the demon receives her soul, what everything has been leading up to from the very beginning finally happens. The entity is fully reborn. At the end of the game, the girl comes back to life, but at the same time, water begins to rise in the well where her body was once thrown. This moment may symbolize the destruction of the boundary between worlds. The water that we saw in the afterlife begins to appear in reality as well. And if this theory is correct, it means the children's ritual actually worked, just not in the way they expected. They didn't save their world, they let something ancient, something sinister into it. So, how did you interpret the story and ending of the game? Share your own theories about what happened in the comments. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and hit the bell. See you next time.